What if I told you the single biggest threat to your intelligence isn't ignorance, but your own brain's fierce desire to be comfortable? We think we are driven by the pursuit of truth, of objective correctness. But deep down, our brains are running on a much simpler algorithm. Seek validation. Avoid pain. This fundamental conflict is why we gravitate toward cozy, confirming lies rather than difficult, challenging truths. This phenomenon has a name: confirmation bias. And today, we're going to break down why it exists, how it works, and most importantly, how to fight it, not just to be smarter, but to be truly free thinkers. The first thing to understand is that your brain is an energy hog. It accounts for only about 2% of your body weight, but it consumes 20% of your daily calories. Your brain is obsessed with efficiency. To save energy, it uses mental shortcuts, known as heuristics. And confirmation bias is the ultimate shortcut for preserving your internal worldview. How does it work? It operates in 3 powerful stages, creating a self-sealing echo chamber in your mind. First, selective search. If you believe, for example, that a certain diet is superior, you won't search for studies disproving X diet. You'll search for benefits of X diet. Your curiosity is immediately biased. You don't look for balance, you look for reinforcement. Second, biased interpretation. This is the subtle killer. When you are presented with ambiguous evidence, say a study that has both pros and cons, your brain will heavily favor the parts that confirm your belief and quickly dismiss the rest as flawed or irrelevant. You give favorable evidence a free pass while scrutinizing contradictory evidence far more harshly. Third, selective recall. This is simply the fact that you are more likely to vividly remember the details and examples that confirmed your worldview than the ones that caused you brief discomfort. You forget the counterarguments, making your belief feel stronger over time. This entire mechanism is fueled by the fear of cognitive dissonance, the mental stress we feel when holding 2 contradictory ideas. It's so uncomfortable that the brain will immediately reject the new, painful idea to restore internal peace. It chooses peace over complexity, comfort over correctness. But this isn't just about saving energy. It's about self-preservation. Our beliefs are deeply tied to our identity. If you've spent years believing in a specific political ideology, a health philosophy, or even a career path, to admit that one of its core principles is wrong can feel like an admission that you are fundamentally wrong. It's a massive threat to your self-esteem and identity. We build an emotional armor around our beliefs. New information is not viewed as data to be processed, but as an attack to be deflected. And then, there's the social cost. We are social animals, and historically, our survival depended on our tribe. Today, our beliefs are often the entry fee into our social, political, or professional groups. To challenge a core belief is to risk social rejection, to risk being pushed out of the tribe. Most people would rather be wrong with their friends than be right alone. This is why facts often fail to change minds. When facts clash with tribal loyalty usually wins. The desire to belong is often stronger than the desire to be correct. If psychology explains why we prefer comfort, philosophy tells us what we are sacrificing when we give in to that preference. For centuries, philosophers have wrestled with epistemology, the nature of knowledge itself. The great thinkers realized that true knowledge doesn't come from finding proof. It comes from actively seeking disproof. Think of the philosopher Karl Popper and his principle of falsification. A theory isn't scientific just because you found evidence to support it. A theory is strong only if it can be tested and proven false. Confirmation. Bias is the antithesis of this. It turns you into a poor scientist of your own life. When you only look for evidence that proves your current hypothesis about your relationship, your job, or your health is right, you will never truly know if it's flawed. You trade the certainty of progress for the comfort of stagnation. The philosophical challenge is to cultivate intellectual humility, the profound understanding that you might be wrong, and that being wrong is not a weakness, but a prerequisite for learning. So, how do we escape this cycle? We can't eliminate the bias, but we can manage it. Here are 3 powerful practices to choose correctness over comfort. First, consider the opposite. This is a practical technique. Before you solidify a stance on an issue, dedicate 5 minutes to actively, honestly, and passionately arguing the strongest possible case for the opposing side. Don't look for straw men. Look for the most intelligent, persuasive arguments against your own view. This intentionally breaks your brain's selective search pattern. Second, adopt the outsider test. Before making a major decision or doubling down on a belief, ask yourself, if a smart, neutral stranger, someone with no emotional stake in my life, were viewing this evidence, what would their conclusion be? This helps temporarily disconnect your belief from your identity and emotions. Third, define your terms of error. Set clear, measurable boundaries for when you will admit you are wrong. For example, instead of just vaguely believing your stock choice will rise, define, if this stock drops below X dollars by Y date, I will admit my initial analysis was wrong and sell. This forces you to pre-commit to a threshold for correction, making the eventual acceptance of truth less emotionally costly. The search for truth is not a cozy journey. It is a constant battle against the limitations of our own minds. But the reward for accepting the discomfort is profound. It's the only way to move from simply having beliefs to acquiring genuine knowledge. It's the only way to grow. The most important discovery you can make today is not a new fact, but the realization that the willingness to be corrected is the highest form of intelligence. Final thought and call to action. Embrace the complexity. Embrace the discomfort. Start seeking the truth you might be missing. If you found value in this deep dive, like and subscribe for more videos that challenge your perspective.